For whatever it's worth. But no, I don't know that we'll be able to do that, but I can be hopeless. So we'll see what happens.
I don't know if it's time to say, but at least I'm not
Good evening, welcome to Almont Village Township Hall, June 17th, Almont Council meeting, calling to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
President Dyke,
Present.
President Pro Tem Stuffler, Councilmember Feldman, Councilmember Glasser, Councilmember Miller,
Present.
Councilmember Powell,
Present.
Councilmember Schneider.
Present. As stated earlier in our public hearing, President Pro Tem Stepler and Councilmember Feldman previously let us know that they had other commitments and were going to be out of town. Councilmember Glasser contacted me this evening. He has a work emergency and will not be able to be in attendance tonight. Do we have any changes to the proposed agenda for this evening? I have one addition. It is the, under open discussion, brief comment on the police contract discussions. Communications, we've got the EMS report. And to consent agenda, regular meeting minutes, June 3rd, 2025. General fund. Major street fund, local street fund, Parks and Recreation fund, Downtown Development Authority fund, wastewater or water tower debt fund, sewer fund, water fund, equipment fund, payroll register report. DPW activity report. Wastewater treatment plant report. Police report. OEO report. Construction Code Authority report. Financial position report. Clerk Treasurer report, fire report. If there's no comments, questions, then I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, approve, or seconded by Councilmember Miller to approve the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against, same sign. Motion passes by all council members present. Tonight, now is the time for public comment for any item on our regular agenda. Is there any public comment tonight? Being none, I'll just remind council, it is a long agenda. We do have closed session, so I'll ask you to stay focused and on topic without any kind of sideshow stuff tonight. First regular agenda, millage and garbage rates for fiscal year 2026. These have been discussed in our budget hearing. These have been discussed in our public hearing. Does Manager Kerberson or Clerk Treasurer Keesler have any other commentary on that?
Nothing to add.
Council has no,
I do have,
Okay.
just one question. I noticed the fluctuation when I was looking at this, again last night, the fluctuation in our garbage rates of it going up and down. What year are we in of the contract that we have with Mterra right now?
3
Yes.
3 out of 5.
And I'm just not familiar with how that rate is set. And I don't have an issue with it. I'm just curious how that rate is set because I noticed it going up and down over these years. Is that year to year with them? I haven't seen that contract in a long
There's
time.
there's a different price from year to year.
Okay.
And they also tack on fuel.
Mhm.
So we estimate that
Sure.
based on the last 12 months.
Do we know how they're setting that rate? I'm just concerned
Yes.
about the fluctuation.
Yeah, we actually, I questioned that because they used a term I had never seen before. It was like a state of Michigan adjusted whatever fuel rate. There is a recorded site that is used, and I went and checked it, and they're right on the money.
Sure.
So they're referring to that each year, and that's setting the real fluctuation in the cost.
Okay. Can, whenever the time after budget stuff, can somebody send me a copy of that contract? I just want to look it over. It's just no concerns. I don't have any fights I'm looking to pick. I'm just curious. So I just like to look at it. Otherwise, I don't have any other questions or concerns. I was just curious.
anybody else on council? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion that we adopt resolution 25-06-01, adopting the millage rates and garbage collection fees for the 2025-2026 fiscal year.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, seconded by Councilmember Powell, sorry. Lose my train of thought. Councilmember Powell to approve the resolution 25-06-01 as stated on the record. Roll call.
Schneider,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Powell.
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes by majority of all council members present. Agenda item number 2, resolution 25-06-02, resolution to increase and adjust the water rates of the village effective July 1st, 2025.
Mr. President, these are as set by your study that you're in year 6. Oh.
Questions from council? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion that we adopt resolution number 25-06-02 to increase and adjust the water rates for the village of Belmont.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, seconded by Councilmember Miller to approve the resolution 25-06-02, increasing and adjusting the water rates for the village effective July 1st, 2025. Roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Powell.
Aye.
Schneider,
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Agenda item number 3, resolution 25-06-03. A resolution to increase and adjust the sewer rates of the village of Almont effective July 1st, 2025. Any questions from council? Then I'll entertain a motion.
Make the motion that we adopt resolution number 25-06-03 to increase and adjust the sewer rates for the village of Belmont.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, seconded by Councilmember Powell to approve the resolution 25-06-03 to increase and adjust the sewer rates of the village of Almont effective July 1st, 2025. Roll call.
Powell.
Aye.
Schneider,
Aye.
Miller.
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes by all council members present. Next item on the agenda, the proposed DDA budget fiscal year 2026.
Mr. President, the DDA Executive Director is here. So I'll let her discuss that if you have any questions, but I want you to know has been uploaded and is represented in our budget as presented.
So first of all, I apologize that it says 2025. It is supposed to be 2026 fiscal year. The only other thing I have to add is that, as 3 of the council members here know, in the joint committee, we discussed a direct contribution for the police department, and the joint committee settled on $10,000. After that discussion, the finance committee from the police department and the joint committee settled on $10,000. After that discussion, the finance committee from the DDA board met, and we had, they had decided to go up to $13,000 for direct contribution, and then we were informed that that was off the table. So we do not have the direct contribution in our budget. However, if that is ever back on the table, the DDA board is willing to work with what the village is requesting and amend our budget. That's the only other thing I was asked to address tonight.
Not questions so much as just, I think that that's something we should further explore and discuss. I think we have other, how we're billing, how we're handling this. I think there's probably a simpler solution for, good cooperation between the DDA and the village. So I think it's something we should continue to look at, something we don't have a choice for today. We have to pass the DDA's budget. I don't think it's something we should even be diving into right now, but this is something we could certainly consider for first quarter amendment, and something that we should be probably pursuing and having further conversation at council level on, if we're willing to entertain that concept.
And our police line item, just so you know, our police line item does not encompass all of our police costs. It is also in the, all of the benefits portions on ours. So altogether, it was somewhere between $14,000 and $15,000 that the DDA budgeted this year for police services.
Also have any questions for Angela in regards to the DGA budget? If not, then I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the DDA proposed budget for 2026 as stated.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, supported by Councilmember Powell to approve the proposed DGA budget for fiscal year 2026. All those in favor, say aye. That's not a roll call, is it? No. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Resolution 25-06-04, proposed budget for the fiscal year 2026. So
Before we get in deep on either of these two, because there are two that are presented, and they're both essentially labeled the same, does the administration have any preferences for how we make a distinction between those, other than just verbally saying which one? Because it's not like there's an 01 or an 02 or a difference in the variations between the two that we're formally adopting. So it's just verbally clarifying which one we mean.
Draft number 1 or draft number 2.
Okay, so we're going to refer to them in that way as draft 1 and 2. Okay, thank you.
So the council is aware this is the amended budget, well, not amended, the finalized budget that was produced after last Tuesday's meeting, and it includes the DDA's portion that was added since that meeting. The only thing that is open, or the question in front of you, is the budget either for wastewater treatment, the wastewater treatment plant is as presented by the normal annual budget process, or the second resolution, 1 or 2, is the resolution that includes using the contractor for wastewater treatment plant
So draft.
operations.
So draft 1 is retaining what we have now. Draft 2 is the privatization portion of it.
Yes, and the one thing that isn't included, because I got the email today, is our insurance company took a look at the coverage provided by the contractor if they were in place. They notified me today in writing that if we did contract, they would reduce the annual cost $1,000 for our policy.
Councilmember Glasser wanted me to state on the record that he is for proposal 2, which would be the privatization. Just, he couldn't be here tonight, but he asked me to voice that opinion, so. Council members have questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. President. So our overall savings, if I understand it correctly, would be approximately 50,000 through privatization
Per year.
per year at this point. My next question is, does that have to be passed one way or the other this evening? Or, because I'd feel more comfortable with a full council present.
That would be up to the council. It would need to be, the budget needs to be approved before the end of the month. So anytime up until the end of the month, it could be voted on and approved. So again, it's up to the group.
My take on that would be, we have to pass a budget. We have the right to privatize at any point, but we would obviously want to pass a budget that's in line with whatever our intention is. But of course, we can always privatize any service if we so choose at a later point in time, and then do budget amendments. That's what the amendments are for. So I mean, it is possible to do something different tonight than whatever we're choosing to do later down. It's possible, but I don't think that we can avoid making a decision tonight because we're making a budget decision.
That's
tonight.
pretty much what my question was, yes.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that we should have a full council vote, specifically on the wastewater treatment plant privatization proposal. I don't think that should get in the way of passing the budget tonight, since it needs to be passed before July 1st. So my opinion would be to pass the budget with the current wastewater treatment plant, and then later on have a full council discussion around the privatization aspect of it.
Just following up on those, just again, I mean, so we have to make a decision tonight regardless, because we have to pass a budget, which is in turn making that choice. And of course, council members and are always capable of, whatever decision gets made tonight, revisiting it later. We always have that option. Just keep in mind, going from public to private will be a smoother transition than the reverse, going from private to public, because once we make that decision to go private, getting out and going back public will not be, well, nearly as smooth or easy. And there's contractual requirements and obligations and notice periods and possible financial penalties under any contract. And there is no specific finite terms of the contract now anyways, but the contract as presented, which is what they said is their standard starting point, does have standard contractual obligations, limitations, things that would need to be addressed in order to reverse and go backwards. But just so as long as we all understand that part for at least this evening.
So this evening, we recommend staying status quo, staying status quo, and then put it back on the agenda in 2 weeks when we have full council to discuss it and relook at it.
I don't know that we should say when it's going back on the agenda. The
Okay.
intention is for it to go back on the agenda with full council, right?
Okay, right.
If we say it's going back on in 2 weeks,
Right.
we don't know that we have full council. We hope to, we anticipate that we will is one. Two, don't we need to give everybody the time to reassess this so that, because if we're gonna intend to discuss this again and re-vote on this again, don't we want it to actually work? And
Right,
everybody has
right,
has had the time to
Yeah,
take it all. I'm just saying, I have no problem with it coming back whenever you guys want it to. I
Okay.
just feel like we shouldn't pick that exact moment right this second. We
Okay.
don't know when we will or will not have a full council as of this moment, right?
so if we're going that route, we'll need a motion to that effect. Unless there's other questions or comments by council or staff.
Well, I mean, I have lots of comments and lots of thoughts on it, but if it's the preference of council, if there's consensus of council that we just want to remain public for now and revisit this later, then I'll reserve that for when we're doing full. I won't put y'all through it more than once. I'll save it for when we have full council.
Do we have consensus?
Okay.
Okay, then it still requires a motion.
I will make the motion that we adopt resolution 25-06-04, the draft number 1 version of it, where our wastewater treatment plant remains public.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider to approve Resolution 25-06-04, draft number 1, supported by Councilmember Miller. All those in favor say aye. Oh, that's roll call.
Schneider,
Aye.
Miller,
Aye.
Powell,
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. And I know this is a difficult issue, so I thank staff for their patience, and I thank council members for bringing up and wanting a full council vote or in discussion on it to make sure we're not ramming something through and doing the right thing, so. All council members present. Agenda item number 6, fourth quarter budget amendments.
Included in your packet is my memo explaining the significant changes in the budget amendments, one of which in general fund was removing the capital outlay as the parking lot and the DPW building have been postponed. DPW worked more in the local street fund, so we had to increase those personnel expenses. The DWRF water tower millage revenues received were more than anticipated. The funding sources and most of the expenses, excluding engineering costs from F&B, were removed from the capital projects fund as the project was postponed until next year. The sewer fund revenues were reduced considerably because the stimulus funds were appropriated to the capital project fund instead of the sewer fund, and we received less reimbursements than anticipated. However, these were slightly offset by the increase in interest and penalties. The equipment revenues rose significantly due to the sale of the police vehicle and more equipment rental use. However, this was slightly offset by the cost of outfitting the new police vehicles and equipment repairs.
I have a few just general questions. So the, like what you just mentioned, that DPW did more work in the local streets, so we had to adjust for that. So when DPW does work in the local streets area, who's putting the work order for that?
It's recorded through payroll.
Okay, so, well, let me ask this. So akin to this new administrative fee that we're doing, is there an administrative fee being billed to the local streets fund when we do that? Okay. So, and is that just because of how the calculating works already, that it's basically automatically done, that we don't have to put anybody administratively tallying that?
Correct.
Okay. The other question that I had, just trying to understand how this system's working now. I'm curious as to technology. So I saw the Microsoft Exchange for council members. So it was originally, what, 1,350, and then it ballooned to 2,635. Was that just for the renewal of the first year? I mean, why did it?
It goes month to month now instead of an annual fee. And it's $112 a month for, your emails in Exchange. So Word and Excel.
Just seems exorbitant.
It's Microsoft's licensing and the way they do it.
Yeah, I just don't get why, because I mean, everybody else is licensing, I mean, we have that same license, it's phenomenally less than that. And I just don't understand why. I mean, you're gonna pay a lot more if it's enterprise level.
And an enterprise license with telephony is 40 something dollars per user per month.
Sure, right, but this is an enterprise level, so I just didn't understand why it was.
This is the government portion, subscription. I don't know if that makes a difference, but
Like you just mentioned, so enterprise would be $40 a month, right?
40 to 45, depending on what you have.
Right, and ours is 100, and did you say 12?
112.
112.
Yeah, for all seven.
This is the
For all,
municipal
yeah, but
deal,
that's for all 7.
Correct.
That's
That's
not
for
per
all
person.
7.
right,
My license at work,
is 40 per person, no, I understand
40
what
per
you're saying.
person per month.
It
Yeah.
it still just seems exorbitant to me, but I was just curious, how that part worked.
Everything's going to a subscription based now.
I'm
Yep.
very familiar, and it's the bane of my existence. So, okay, I don't think I have any further follow-ups.
Mr. Miller, Mr. Powell, any other questions?
No.
Then I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the fourth quarter budget amendments as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Powell, supported by Councilmember Schneider to approve the fourth quarter budget amendments as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes by all council members present. Agenda item number 8, road closure approval.
Oh, no,
Oh, no.
DDA.
I'm sorry.
we're 7.
7, I'm sorry. FYI 2025 DDA fourth quarter budget amendments.
I have nothing.
You have
If you have
nothing?
any questions, you can, feel free to ask, but
Any questions from council?
I guess the only one that I'm curious about is, so obviously we've had a discussion and conversation about the difficulty with the way that the police budget is spread across the multiple different funds. And I see in here that you have it still for a total under the police line as 3,216 was budgeted at 3,000. So the remainder of the 11,000, whatever, is spread across the other line items?
Yeah.
Okay, that's just, I guess, what I was trying to make sure is that it's still there, it's just spread across the other ones because we can't make that distinguishing part right now the way it's set up. Okay. All right, I don't have any other direct questions, but I was just curious about that one.
Mr. Powell, Mr. Miller, any questions?
I'll make the motion that the DDA fourth quarter budget amendments be passed as presented.
Motion by Councilmember Miller, supported by Councilmember Powell to approve the DDA budget amendments as stated on the record. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Sorry, I missed that originally. Agenda item number 8, road closure approval Heritage Festival.
so the list of the road closures is in the memo, and I also included a map. I think this year we have come to, the DDA recognized the concerns of village council as well as other, entities in the village, and I think we came to a good compromise. And if you have any questions, I'm here, but I think it's all laid out pretty well, so. We won't be closing East St. Clair more than Saturday between 7 and 4, or 7 and 5, I think, so we can move everything off, but it'll only be closed one day instead of 3.5.
I do have one question. So the entertainment tent and its location, it looks like it's slightly different from 2 years ago.
It is.
And is it just to open it up more so that you can use the side street better in registration, getting in and getting out, or?
So we did not get permission from the current landowner to use his parking lot like we did 2 years ago. However, where we have it positioned is under a different ownership, so we hope that will work. That will satisfy everyone's concerns.
Okay.
And then the only two side streets that are closed for multiple days are ones that are not the direct. There's
They're low.
almost zero impact, yes.
I know this was a hot button topic last year, so the way it worked out, from a council perspective and from a DDA perspective, since I'm now part of that team, it's appreciated, and I think it's a great compromise for everybody.
Yeah,
To
absolutely.
try and meet the needs of all entities.
We tried to come up with something that would meet in the middle of all parties that were going to be affected, and I think that we came up with a really great solution that is minimal impact to any side streets and minimal impact to any businesses, so.
Other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve the closing of the municipal streets for the Heritage Festival as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Miller to approve the street closures of the Heritage Festival as proposed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Agenda item number 9, special events approval, social district.
I apologize for not being at your last meeting, and I apologize for the memo that was unclear. I hope this one is more clear. We do want to designate cruise night and Jeep night special events, just so that the back parking lot is available for the social district. Inherently, East St. Clair and Stone Street make natural boundaries because they are open to vehicular traffic. And since we closed Mill Street for our special events, that wouldn't be a part of it. But we just want to open that back parking lot for our Jeep night and cruise night for the social district.
Which is exactly what we did last year.
Correct.
Correct,
Exact
it's
same
the
event.
exact, yes,
Right.
it's the exact same thing you did last year. I did not word it correctly in the memo, and I do apologize for that. But I included a map this year so everybody could visually see what we're
So
asking.
this is just amending what we did a couple of weeks ago to make it the same as what you did last year.
Correct, so
Right, yep.
last meeting you opened the social district for Jeep night, which is on Tuesdays, and the social district is closed every other Tuesday. Now I just am asking that for Jeep night and cruise night, you classify them as special events so that the entire parking lot is open for the social district and not just the commons areas. But if you guys have any questions, I hope the map helps this time. I know it wasn't in last packet, so that probably added to the confusion.
Sure, 'cause let's just, for anybody who's not familiar with it, let's just clarify what these two different attempts at this are. The first time we expanded the time frame and the hours because social district was not available otherwise, but we did not expand the area where social district is. In order to expand the area where it is, we have to first classify it as a special event so that it's more than just right in front of the social district licensee's establishment. So we're classifying it as a special event, and we are also clarifying what that boundary is in this one. That's the distinction between the two. The first one opened up the hours. This one classifies it as a special event, changing the actual designated area to the same as last year. All of this does mirror last year, but it's
Yeah, it was
just for
all-
clarification.
It was all done in one motion last year, and I apologize for the miscommunication. So social district is normally closed on Tuesdays, and I just requested that it be open for Jeep nights, because Jeep nights are the only special event that falls on Tuesdays this year. And I did not clarify that I also would request that cruise nights be considered a special event so that we can have the parking lot open instead of just the commons areas. So,
Did we have any issues reported during Jeep night or cruise night during any of the events last year?
zero,
Zero.
and this year so far has been awesome I've been there for every second of Jeep night and cruise night, and it's been great. I've told everybody, you need to stay in the commons areas because it's not open, and everyone has been super respectful, and it's went well, so.
Did it, from your estimation, boost participation to have social district active last year?
Yes, and I think several people have asked me this year if they could carry their drinks to their cars, and I've said, no, you have to stay in the commons areas. So, do I think it's a huge impact? If I'm being honest, no. But I think that the people that bring their cars, they go to dinner, they get a drink, and if they wanna bring a drink back to their car, they can. So that does hinder
It
some
benefits the event, it
sales.
benefits the local
Right,
businesses.
yeah, absolutely.
Chief, have you had any concerns with any of our social district events yet? I mean, I know you weren't here during this time last year when we were going through this, but are you aware of any circumstances or issues that we had with Jeep night or cruise night last year? Or do you have any concerns about us extending the social district into the parking lot behind those businesses this year?
No, I don't.
Questions from council? Motion.
I will make the motion that we approve the opening of the the social district for the special events, or classify them as special events, and open up the social district area as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Miller to approve the special events approval for the social district for cruise and Jeep nights as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Agenda item number 10, special assessment approval.
Included in your packet is a list of parcels that have delinquent water or sewer bills beyond 6 months, and delinquent miscellaneous receivable bills, also more than 6 months delinquent. And I'm just requesting that council approve that list to add those special assessments to the tax roll.
And I'd like to note, Mr. President, that there are only 8 this time around.
Questions from council?
Well, now that makes me curious. How many were there last year?
Well, I think there were double that anyway, weren't there? Because one of the things I ended up having to do is pursue several of them.
Sure, I recall. Yes.
But in this case, we've had good luck.
Right.
People are taking care of it. We're not pursuing them. They're just taking care of it because we make it clear, they get good announcement ahead of time, and then they've been taking care of them as they come up. I've met with several of the people to verify, yes, as an example, someone would come in and say, my snow was shoveled, I know I have a service. So then I would show them the picture of the day that we did it, and it clearly hadn't been shoveled in the entire winter or a month. And they would say, oh, all right, I'll pay you right now. So,
Right, understood. It did seem rather low, and then when you said that there's only,
Yeah.
it made me beg the question if, well, something were there less.
some of them are multiple on the same property. So some of them are multiple on the same property. So
Okay.
Motion.
Make the motion that we approve the special assessments as presented.
Support.
Miller or Paul that supported?
Ms. Miller.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Councilmember Schneider, seconded by Councilmember Miller to approve the special assessment as assessments as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. Resolution 25-06-05, program approval.
yes, this is an additional file for the Category B road work project grant for School Street. We've applied year after year, the last couple of years, and I'm hoping that it works similar to a bear tag. The more you apply, the greater your chance of actually getting the grant. So we are resubmitting. It requires not a lot of effort to get it in there again, and hopefully we will get some funding towards the street. But it requires a resolution from the council to complete it.
Questions from council? Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion that we adopt resolution number 25-06-05 to request, for a request for funding and to designate an agent and attest to the existence of the funds and to commit to implementing a maintenance program for road reconstruction and resurfacing.
Motion by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Powell to approve resolution 25-06-05 as stated on the record. Roll call.
Miller,
Aye.
Powell.
Aye.
Schneider,
Aye.
Dyke.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously by all council members present. That concludes tonight's regular agenda. Now it's time for public comment for any item not on the regular agenda. Do we have any public comment tonight? Being none, open discussion, the police contract has been added. So just to give council an update, Manager Kerberson several weeks ago gave a overall presentation with Chief Willis to the entire township board. After that, negotiation teams for both sides, committees for both sides were designated. We had 2 negotiation sessions. Village proposed an offer. The township gave us a counter offer and then rescinded it. Then the township requested we put in a written contract proposal. So we submitted a written contract proposal with our original contract number since their proposed contract rebuttal was rescinded. It was granted to them. We were given notice of acceptance and then rescinded again. And today we received a note from their committee and their supervisor stating that they're asking for a 90-day extension of the current contract starting July 1st. So that's where it stands.
We're not going to discuss publicly negotiation specific numbers, just to give a timeline and a concept of what happens. We should not be discussing publicly what the negotiation exact terms are. But I believe that our subcommittee was quite clear. We are not offering contract extensions. we will reach a new contract agreement or we won't. But we're not going to try to play this out and drag this out. There's been an appropriate amount of time and an awful lot of effort. So we're not interested in trying to drag this out. Either there is going to be a negotiation agreement or there isn't. And we had previously said we were not interested in a contract extension, with the idea of the current contract expires on the 30th of this month. So let's wrap this up. Either we're going to make a deal or we're not. Everybody's got their fair opportunity to make their bids and offers and negotiations. But now that they are once again at the 11th hour requesting an extension that we previously indicated we were not interested in, we think it's only fair that council be able to weigh in on that position of either offering a contract extension or making it definitively clear. Again, it would be nice if we had full council right now, but definitively clear whether or not we would be willing to entertain contract extensions. I personally do not think that that's appropriate. I feel as though we need to sit down and in good faith reach a resolution or fail to reach a resolution. So I'm personally not interested in it, but I know the two of you aren't entirely familiar with those details either. And unfortunately, our other subcommittee member is out of the country right now to weigh in, but he made his position on that quite clear as well, where he was not interested in contract extensions. So we're looking for a public consensus. This is not a vote, but a public consensus to make our position to the township clear. Either we are or are not willing to offer contract extensions.
If we're not offering a contract extension and the township doesn't agree to the terms, how soon after that do we need to start making adjustments to our police contract in terms of headcount reductions and other budget adjustments?
I would be of the mind, obviously administration needs to weigh in on this as well, but near immediately, my position would be within the month of July. By the end of the month of July, we are going to have to make changes if something isn't done. But again, my deeper thoughts on that is just my thoughts on that is one, two, I would not discuss them publicly because it's essentially the negotiations and the thoughts of what would be offered and extended, and those should remain private until the deal is reached. But services will end on the 30th if there's no extension and there's no new deal reached, and we could leave a very tiny window for new negotiations. But absent a deal reached almost immediately, then we can't continue to fund a police department that no longer can service the township. So we would have to start making changes at that point. Otherwise, I feel as though we're doing a disservice to our constituents, because we would be essentially, overbilling them for a service that we're not even providing anymore. They're going to start to bear the weight of the costs of what it would be to also service the township, and we're not even servicing the township in that hypothetical. So near immediate would be my best answer. Do you feel differently, Mr. President?
What's that?
Do you feel differently about that?
I normally might be open, but when I've already given concessions twice, and then the offer that they put on the table with our concessions was retracted twice. No, I don't think we have room for extension.
But also as to how soon we would have to make a reduction.
There's no doubt. There's a small window, but we can't carry a full force that, we're saying right now we can't afford to carry the force at the price we're carrying it at. So obviously, if we're not utilizing that patrol area, then it would have to be within the month, I would think.
It's my outside perspective of what I've been told of what's taken place so far is that we have unquestionably engaged in good faith negotiation. And now that's become questionable if that's equivalent in our counterpart here. So I just believe that it's appropriate that we set the record very clear. You will engage in good faith negotiation, or the negotiation will end.
We will continue to, but
That's it. We have got to take a stand in a hard line position for the benefit of our constituents. I understand what they're trying to do is serve the best interests of theirs, but we cannot continue to do that at the detriment and to the cost of ours.
Right.
So again, this negotiation started a while ago. It's gone back and forth. Pulling back two offers that were already acceptable is not good faith negotiation. And then in the 11th hour saying, Now we want extensions, even though we were told, we were clear expressly, there will not be extensions. We're not going to play that game. That's not good faith negotiation. We will or will not reach a deal. It's my opinion, we have to take a hard line stance on that and be firm.
That was the first statement of negotiation. So, Mr. Powell, Mr. Miller, do you have any?
I am leaning towards the possibility of a 30-day extension, but with a set price paid in advance.
So if we're going to negotiate the terms of what that 30-day period would be, why aren't we negotiating the terms of the contract instead? Because this is my issue with that, is it leads us into a different negotiation of terms, which were already terms that were negotiated and found acceptable by the parties and then reneged upon. So what is the advantage to the village taxpayer to do it 2-3 more times?
Because the village taxpayer, we're not going to extend at the current price for 90
No.
days because that's.
Not at the current price, no.
But then we'd have to, we could.
No
set it-
negotiation. This is if you want to extend it 30 days, here's the price to extend it for 30 days.
And how do you know you don't get another 30-day request as soon as that's done? Because if
And they
we're gonna
can,
start
but then
kicking
it's
the can down the
rejected.
road, where does kicking the can down the road end? That's the concern, is this is a 3-year contract. The 3 years is up. We gave advance notice. We're very clear. We've had multiple sub-meetings. We've had multiple offers and then rescinding of those offers.
Well,
From my position, I feel as though it is rewarding, not good faith negotiation, which is why I'm taking the position of get serious, you make an offer, you stick to it, or no more offers. You are wasting the time of everyone involved at that point.
I don't disagree with that. I am just saying that there is that possibility. There could be possibly a 30-day extension, but I think that would be up to the committee.
Sure.
You know.
Mr. Powell.
Yeah, I understand the tough position that both parties are in, so I don't have any more comments.
That concludes the discussion. We are now going to do council manager comment. Ms. DDA Director, did you have anything to bring to council?
I have nothing that I already didn't add to the agenda.
Thank you for being in attendance tonight. We do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mr. Kerperson?
Nothing for me tonight.
Thank you, sir. Both.
I have nothing to add, sir.
Clerk Treasurer Kiesler? Mr. Schneider?
Not at this time.
Mr. Powell? Mr. Miller?
Good for now.
Okay, then I will entertain a motion to go into closed session.
I will make the motion that we entered the closed session in accordance with sections 8A and 8C of the Michigan Open Meetings Act, being Public Act 267 of 1976, to conduct an evaluation of Manager Kerberson and Clerk Treasurer Kiesler's performance and for strategy and negotiation sessions connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
Or
Motion to go into closed session as stated on the record by Councilmember Schneider, supported by Councilmember Powell. To go in closed session, a roll call.
Powell?
Aye.
Schneider?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Dyke?
Aye. That will conclude tonight's meeting. Thank you, public, for coming tonight.
See ya.
I'll close this door.
Have a nice evening.
One, I don't know that we've ever gotten through 11 agenda items in an hour.